Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, today we're going to dig into some questions from you guys. I'm getting a lot, even on Snapchat, even though I don't do Snapchat. Some of you are even connecting with me there. And so I wanted to just dig in right away. Don't you love a podcast that just gets to the point? I hate when they go on and on about blah, blah, blah. So I want to just dig in. And the first question comes from the Gumball Love private VIP page. So you can join that. Just go, it's Gumball Love private VIP clubhouse. And it's just basically a place for you to hang out, ask questions, put things out there that are happening. So Sarah asked, hey ladies, could use some insight. I was dating a guy I met on Hinge. We have a lot in common and connected well. On our fifth date, it's a lot of dates, right? Fifth date, he said he's looking for a partner and wants to get married. We realized we both want the same things. 2 days later, he texts me saying he doesn't think we're a good fit. I'm confused. What went wrong? So in the comments, she says, I was blaming myself like I did something wrong. I thought it was because he wanted to have sex and I wasn't in the mood. He asked if I was seeing someone else and I said I'm not. And so I want to just tell you in my head right away, what jumps into my mind is people go on dates and in the beginning, they are on a high. We all are, we're assuming we're attracted. We have all of the endorphins. And also let's just take a step back and say, that's also rare to have all those feelings happening where you really do feel a connection. You feel chemistry. It's exciting. You're physically attracted to them. All of those for me is extremely rare for that to happen. And so when you go on the first, second, third, and fourth, and fifth date, and you feel like you're getting to know each other, yes, you are getting to know each other, and you may feel all of those things. However, sometimes we're not dealing with someone that is mature enough to take the next steps with those feelings. They don't have the stability inside to relax and stay the journey that is smooth, not a lot of drama, the everyday stuff. And although everyday stuff sounds boring, it's the person that can be consistent, that can show up, that can check in with you, that can, that you can have boring conversations. You can have, not that you're having boring conversations, but not every conversation is going to be exciting. That's what you're looking for. So as you're out there dating, I always say, have fun, because we don't want to say, what I was tempted to say was, temper your excitement, but I really don't want you to do that, because you should just be enjoying the excitement, but maybe temper the expectation that, look, this may turn out great, but don't go into it on date 3, 4, and 5 thinking, oh my gosh, this is my forever, because it's such a gut punch when they do stuff like this. 2 days later, oh, I don't think we're the right fit. So what that means is, it means a lot of different, or could mean a lot of different things. When people change their mind like this, it means they don't really know what they're looking for. They don't really know what they want, which means they don't really know themselves. And we are guilty of this too. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we really want, where we want to go. And during 2020, especially for me, a lot of things changed. I'm no longer living in New York City. I have the same job, but everything's in flux. I know for a lot of us, everything is in flux. So if we don't really know what we want, what we're looking for, what our goals are, and we're not able to pivot when we have to, and stay stable, then we're not going to be able to clearly see when we have what we need in front of us. We'll easily let that go if we're not clear. Does that make sense? It's like if someone offered you an amazing job. Let's say I tell you, I have an incredible opportunity. It's work from home and pays $150,000 a year in a salary. And I won't even pick a specific job, but it's something that you're not really sure if you would like doing. But the money's good and you like the idea of working from home, but you don't really know if you'll like the job. So you sit there and go, do I take it because the money's good? So I want you to just think about that. Do you take a job that you don't really know if you'll like because the money's good? So as you think about that, sometimes people are looking at relationships and they see all the benefits, but they don't really know if they're going to like the person because they don't know themselves. And also being in a relationship, being in love is a lot of self-sacrifice and compromise. And it's also partnering with someone, making decisions. One of my clients should probably listen to this podcast. She said, I was telling him I'm the boss and he didn't like that. And I looked right at her on our Zoom call and I said, you are not the boss. We can't be the boss of the men. Sorry, girl bosses. You can't look at your significant other and say, I'm the boss. No, it doesn't work that way. You're an equal. You're a partner. So we can't let feminism get so out of control where we think we're lording over our men. Because then you have a weak man. So if you have a guy that's pushing back on the fact that you want to boss him around, you might want to hang on to that guy because he's got enough confidence. The guy that lets you push him around means that he doesn't have enough self-respect. If I respect myself, are you going to date a guy that tells you he's the boss of you? No. So we want people that know who they are. We want people that respect themselves and that respect their own boundaries and that are consistent, reliable, trustworthy. So we're on these dates, and so I'm going back to my girl Sarah, who's in this date 5, and all of a sudden this guy just changes his mind. And it's so painful because you feel that rejection, right? You feel that, okay, you were excited about me. You were talking about you want somebody that you can have a future with. Then all of a sudden, it's like he got the job that paid $150,000 a year. And all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, what if I can't do this job? What if I get fired? What if my friends are intimidated by the fact that I make more money? What's going to happen? Sometimes people are not ready, including us. Maybe you're not actually ready for a real relationship because the real one is much different than a gumball guy. The real one is honest conversations, which brings me to my next question from another person who messaged me on Snapchat. And she said, I did talk to her about doing soul searching, finding out what she really wants and needs. And she goes, and picturing my life without them and what it would look like. So she's been talking with a guy a lot. He's been saying how much he enjoys talking to her and he has a good heart. But for some reason, I'm scared to fully love and take the next step due to maybe not being able to love him enough. I think he deserves someone so great. He seems established in his career. I don't feel like I'm there yet. Okay. So I want you to know what I hear in that comment. I hear, I don't feel good enough. I'm not sure I'm going to love him enough. I'm not as established in my career as he is. And I happen to know this girl. She's been with me for years. And so basically what she's saying is, I'm not enough. And so the only problem with when we feel like we're not enough, that is the problem. And that's what we have to work on. And it's a process to feel like you are enough and to know that you are enough. So sometimes we have to break this down and say, okay, so do you feel like your capacity to love isn't there? With this one, I know for sure her capacity to love is there. But there's this feeling of, what if I don't love enough? What if I'm not enough for him? What if he rejects me? So I'm just going to reverse it back. Isn't it ridiculous to think, well, you're not far enough along in your career, so I'm going to not love you, or I don't feel like you're enough for me because I need you to be doing what with your career? You know what I mean? Like the career part, it's a factor in some aspects, but if you were married and your husband lost his job, do you love him less? No. You know what I mean? Like I always think of when I thought about before I met my significant other, I thought I need to love them enough to where if they got in a car accident and were paralyzed from the neck down, that I could still be in a relationship with them and still be fulfilled. And so then I started thinking about things like, what is it that I need? So if I only had I could just talk to them, but there would be no physical interaction. They couldn't work. I had to completely take care of them. What would I need? And for me, it's conversation, it's mental stimulation. And then even if that wasn't there, do you love the person enough to be able to just support them? And I just think when you find the right person, the answer is just yes on all of it. If I have to just take care of you and you can't even speak, I'll do it because I love you. You're the one, my person. You're the one that I'm committed to. So I know this is hard to quantify because it's like, and I don't feel like this feeling comes because of one particular person, but it comes from the fact that when you love someone, even if it's a gumball guy, you learn how you love and you learn who you are. You loved your gumball guy. You were there for him. You went to those family events. You were committed. And if he turned out to be the wrong guy, or he's turning out to be the wrong guy right now, it doesn't say anything about who you are, your capacity to love. All of that is proven because the proof is in the pudding, right? You showed that. So you are enough. You already bring enough to the table. And I'll go back to an example. Think of your best friend. Is your best friend worth less to you because of her job situation? Are you willing to go out with your unemployed friend? You know what I mean? Like, that's not why you're friends with them. And so the fear of, okay, on paper, I don't look like I'm enough. So am I going to be lovable? That's not what makes you lovable. I'll tell you what Dr. Michaela Sarno told me, and I've told the story before, but I said to her, this was back in 2014, I said, how do you manufacture self-worth? I was just really in a place where I was trying to understand, how do you build this? How do you construct this? How do you feel worthy enough for it? And she said, okay, draw an imaginary circle around yourself. And she's like, so where you stand right now? And I said, okay. And she said, what gives you value? And you can't point to anything outside the circle, only inside your circle. So just you in the circle. What is valuable about you? So I can't say I have my job. I can't say my friends, just me in this circle. In 2014, I did not know how to answer that question. And so she said, okay, think about somebody you love. And at that time, I thought of my little cousin, Hudson. I'm like, okay, he was 5 at the time. And I said, okay, Hudson's in the circle. Now, what brings him value? And immediately, I got tears in my eyes because I love him so much. And I said, oh, because he's such a loving little boy. He's so funny. He's confident. He's a little bit sinister. He's likes to be sneaky, so playful. But he's such a love, right? His whole personality is just unique. And I babysat him from birth and fell in love with the kid. But he doesn't have a job and he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have his own house, lives with his parents. He is 12 now. But what brings him value? It was so easy for me to see the value. I could go on and on about all of the things. And then his little brother, they're priceless, right? And so that is our job, is to learn our value. And if someone doesn't respond and they don't give you the acknowledgement of your value, then that's when you know they're not the right person for you. But with the gumball guy, we have gotten in the habit of selling ourselves. Hudson doesn't have to sell his value to me. I can see it. He doesn't have to say anything, do anything, Just what he does and says without any thought of his value makes him worthy. He's already worthy because of who he is in the circle with nothing else but just him inside. And so we have to examine the contents of who we are, and we have to actually assess real value to it. I think, and this might sound super morbid, but have you ever had a friend commit suicide and they were active on Facebook, and then you see all the comments that come in where people were noticing their posts. People maybe didn't comment or didn't like a post, but they didn't realize. This happened to a friend of mine I went to high school with, and it was actually someone I went to high school with in Japan. Onse was this beautiful, talented police officer for the LAPD, and she looked like a little Barbie doll, and she was always happy on Facebook. She always had fun posts. She had a little dog named Pickles, who was a French bulldog, and I messaged her once in a while, and I texted her when I was in LA one time, and then I was too tired, and actually she was so beautiful and I was feeling insecure about myself, and so I didn't reach out to her when I was in LA and just thought she would always be there. But then as I started talking to her more on Facebook, I was like, oh, that was so dumb. I should have connected with her. Next time I go, I'm going to connect with her. And she took one of her guns and shot herself in the head one day. And her dog was at home, and she called 911 before she did it. She wanted specific cops to be the ones that picked her up, and she was gone when they got there. And I'm not telling you the story to depress you, but you could just tell she didn't know her value. And when all these people commented, and people still are posting on her wall to this day, and I think she was gone in 2012. And I still think about her. And I even go and visit her page sometimes. And we weren't even really that close after high school. Not close at all. Just, kept in touch now and then, chatted on Messenger. So basically what? She would have been classified as an acquaintance, right? But it's still, I remember when she died, it was like there was this hole that was there for a long time. And so I really believe that when people get suicidal, that's the one thing you can't see. It's like your value is you're completely blind to your value. You don't see the purpose. You don't see what you're doing. You can't see your contribution. It's like the enemy just completely blinds you to everything that brings you value. And so I know it's depressing, but just think if you were to not commit suicide, but maybe you were just to die of whatever, you get hit by a bus tomorrow, then what happens to all the people that are in your life? It's devastating to them, right? Because of your value. So I want you to think about what you bring to all the people in your life and the contribution, the fact that you are posting, it's like that's a sign of life. The fact that you text back, the fact that you answer the phone, the fact that you show up to work, the emails that you send, the interactions, the things that you find funny, the memes. It's like we think we're just doing these things are meaningless, and I'm not saying they're 100% meaningful, but it's just you are there. You are showing up. You are communicating, connecting, and reaching out. And so every time we do that, we show our contribution. Every time I show up here on this podcast, that's my contribution, right? So this is part of what brings my value, right? Because my value is my way of sharing this content with you. And this resonates with people, and I get messages all the time thanking me that there's they feel like I'm just talking. I don't feel like what I'm saying is profound, but one of my girlfriends is like, oh my God, it's so profound. Like I don't feel it. And sometimes it doesn't feel profound coming out. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I better do my podcast. It's like, gotta say profound things. It's just, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And so this is the gift that God's given, that he's put in me to deliver this message. But this is also part of my value. It's a huge part of my value. But if I stop doing this, that's not the only thing that brings me value, right? There's other things, the kind of friend, the kind of girlfriend I am to my guy, the kind of daughter I am, the dog mommy I am, like all of the things, the kind of auntie I am to Hudson and Heaton and all my other little cousins, which I know I'm not technically their aunt. I'm like their second cousin, but I feel like an aunt. We call me an auntie. So, it's all of those things that we are, and all of those different relationships that bring us value. And when our significant other comes into our life, those are the things that they look at to determine value. That's what we should be looking at. When we look at a significant other, we think, okay, what kind of a son are you? What kind of a worker are you? What kind of a uncle, brother, how they contribute, how they help, how they work, how they operate, how they give to others, their spirit, all of those things. And so, yeah, they're where we are in our career. My heart breaks when I hear one of my girls think, I'm not far enough along in my career. I wonder if I can love him enough. I wonder if I can be enough. Your career is just a tiny part of it. Career could be the most insignificant part of what we contribute. When you think about when you're sitting with your best friends, are you really talking about the depths of your work? And I'm talking more of like our full-time jobs that really aren't our passions or our, not to say that it's not contributing. I don't mean to downplay it, but it's not the everything. One thing is not the everything. I heard someone say, our political beliefs should be like one store at a shopping mall. There's so many more things to us than our political beliefs. And I thought that's really cool. Like, yep, it's one store. You can come in here, we can talk politics, or we can go into this other store and we can talk about dogs, or we can go into this other store and we can talk about flowers, or we can go into this other store and talk about writing or social media or relationships or music or art. History. There's so many other things that we can connect and exchange ideas. Now, our political beliefs do connect with our values as well. However, in the climate of the election, all of the things that are happening, when you take away political candidates and you just talk to people about specific issues, I think you find that you're much more on the same page than you think you are. But we're usually trying to argue through a personality of a particular candidate. And so that's when we feel like we're not connecting. So yes, I think it's important that we align our values, especially with our significant other. But do we have to align on every value for our friends? No, we do not. So if you've lost friends to the election, I think those friends are weak. I really do. I think that if it tested the strength of the friendship and it's lost, you can't talk through it, then it's probably not a very strong friendship. Or it'll come back around when tensions, subside. So I know this is a little bit heavy, but I think it's so important that you understand how valuable you are. I want you to just think about the things that you do, the things that you say. Every time I coach any one of you, it's so funny. Anytime someone books a session, I have so many more of you booking sessions, and I promise I will open up more slots in my schedule. I need to really reevaluate my calendar again because I had it set up a certain way, but since all these changes have happened, I've moved. I'm going to open up more slots. But it's like every time I see you on camera, hear your voice on Zoom, I think I just expect these amazing women to show up because that's all I get for clients is incredible, loving women that we just don't know our worth yet. We don't know our value. And that's what I teach you. And look, you're not going to just know it after this podcast, right? I hope you think about it more. I hope you connect to it even just a tiny bit more. I hope that you journal it. I hope you write down, yeah, this is what brings me value. Maybe you have children. Maybe you are a great mom. You love your kids. You take care of every little thing. You're worried about every little sniffle, cough, every tear, every little skinned knee. Maybe you are a dog mommy and anytime your dog, isn't eating like they're supposed to, or they walk with a little gimp for a second, and you're like, oh, I wonder if something's wrong with her hip, or, all those things that you do to nurture, to love, to care, to connect, the friends you think about, birthday parties you attend, holiday shopping, cards you write out, all of it is showing your worth. That's the value. And so the dating world teaches us that we have to have the perfect body, we have to have the perfect life, and everything has to be, but quality people will know when they've got something priceless, and they're not going to look at one piece and judge the whole, one part and judge the whole package. If your whole life and everything that brings you value is like a shopping mall, if a person goes into only one store and judges the whole mall, they've missed out, right? Like, we can't judge the whole mall. But what if they went into like the weird gadget store? I'm like, this is a stupid mall. They have all these weird gadgets. And then you would say, no, there's all these other department stores and clothes. And they were like, oh no, if this mall has this weird gadget store, then I'm out. And you would be like, duh, you don't even get it. That's what it sounds like. That's what it should sound like to you when you say, well, I don't know if I'm far enough in my career. Okay, so he judges the whole package based on career. Then he doesn't understand how to see value in a relationship. However, it doesn't mean it's like, ew, what a disgusting person he is. It also means he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know his own value. He doesn't know what he wants. So we're dealing with two people who don't know who they are, they don't know their value, and they don't know what they want. But let's just look at it from the other side. When you do know who you are, you do know your value, and you do know what you want, and you meet somebody else that also knows these things, then you're not having these conversations at all. So this kind of thought process should not be happening. So if you are in a relationship and you have somebody, like my girl said, he's really sweet and he's really together and he's really loving, do you see how there's a tendency to run from that? Like, I don't know, he's got it all together and I don't, so I better run. No, don't run. Fight through that feeling of insecurity, okay? So we don't have to stop and try to repair ourselves. If you have a good enough person, they'll be patient with you in the process, but you don't go to them to help you through this process. You come and get some coaching from me, go to your therapist, do journaling, get a book, like really explore your own hobbies, do a lot of the things that we've talked about. So you start to build this up in you, you build that inner strength, you build that inner confidence, right? Self-confidence, confidence in self. I mean, it sounds cliche, but these things mean something. We have to have this inside already built or in the process of building. And I don't think it's ever a done deal. So you work on this, you work on building, you work on strengthening. It's just like working out. Let's say you meet somebody and you feel like you're out of shape. You feel like you need to lose weight. You don't go to your partner and feel bad about your physical condition. And they say, I don't care what you look like, you're fine. But inside you feel like you're not where you want to be. You feel unhealthy. Let's say you feel just unhealthy because, being overweight is unhealthy, right? So, but if they're saying, I love you, I don't care, and you're saying, well, but I do, I want to be healthier, then leaning on them for that is really non-productive, right? You can't go to them and be like, oh my God, I just feel so bad about my weight or my health. It's you that has to eat right. It's you that has to exercise. It's you that has to make those decisions. So you can't lean on him to help you with that. So you can't lean on him to help you with your confidence either. You have to do the stuff that builds the confidence. You have to do the stuff that builds that strength. And then your partner can be a support and a cheerleader, but they can't be your, I hate to use the word support because yes, they will support you, but they can be an encourager and they can be a partner with you, but they can't give you that full support where you can't just lean on them. They can't do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So you still have to be the one investing in yourself and pouring into yourself. And that way it makes it easier for them. Because when you go to a friend and you say, I'm having problems with XYZ and my therapist says I should do this, then your friend can go, yeah, that does sound like the right thing to do. That does make sense. And then you can go, yeah, and this is what I thought. So then your friend becomes more of a listener, but they aren't the one solving the problem. Do you see how that works? So you go to your friend, I'm really struggling with this, but I've already asked for professional help in this area so that I don't have to go to my friend who You guys have heard me say it's like if you have somebody stabs you in the leg, you don't go to your best friend's house and bleed all over their couch. You go to the doctor. But then if you go to the doctor and you have your leg bandaged up, then your friend can bring you lunch, bring you a drink. They can support you better after you've gotten the help that actually solves the problem. So how are you solving your own problems, and who are you leaning on for support? And how are you contributing to your own self-confidence? As I have another client I met with this week who's feeling devastated by something that her ex told her. And she's just, well, this isn't going to give away anything. He told her, "You're bad in bed." And then the next guy she was with ghosted her. And so then it was like, oh my God, this confirms I'm bad in bed. And so we talked about this. So this will lighten it up a little bit. Okay, so if someone says you're bad in bed, then are they communicating with you? Because I don't really think anyone shows up being good at everything, because it's kind of like saying, I'm really good at planning weddings. Okay, so if you just plan a wedding and you don't ask the bride what she wants, you could plan the most incredible wedding. And she could show up and say, I don't like those flowers. I hate these colors. And I really don't like the music you chose. You're bad at planning weddings. Well, why is the wedding planner bad? Because they didn't say, what kind of flowers do you like? What kind of music would be ideal? I helped my little sister plan her wedding in Colorado. And every decision, I said, what is your vision? What is it that you see? Because I had my own ideas, but they did not fit what she wanted. And so I wanted to play the grand, I wanted to play the "Here Comes the Bride," da, 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 da. I wanted to play that song. And she was like, oh God, it's way too over the top. Like that just was gross to her. I'm like, oh. And her husband was like, I love that song too. So we played it before she arrived. I was the bride just for fun for her husband and I officiated her wedding. So it was so funny. We were like, this is for her husband and me to play, but she didn't want it. So when she got there, we played her song. So like, that's what I'm saying. You can't plan weddings. You're not a great wedding planner unless you communicate with the bride and the family. But then when you do, and you pick the right venue and the right music and the right flowers, and it's all in how that couple envisioned their wedding, then you give them their dream wedding, right? So in this particular case, the guy said, you're a bad wedding planner, but he never said what he didn't like or what he did like. Maybe they liked the music and they didn't like the flowers. So if you could have just changed the flowers, then the whole thing would have been great. This is how sex works. We're not going to just know what everybody's sensitive areas are and what's going to make them have a great experience sexually. We have to communicate that. So you can't just say someone's bad. So here she is, though, carrying this opinion about herself. And then the other guy ghosts her. So people ghost all the time. Look at this other guy. After 5 dates, he's like, yeah, I want to be married. 2 dates later, he's like, I'm out. Well, why? You can't look at yourself and go, I'm the reason. Because he's not communicating. He's not in touch enough with himself. These people are irresponsible. They're out there dating and they don't even know. They're planning weddings. They're not asking anybody for input. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're carrying all this stuff with us, but we don't stop and look because we're too insecure about our own value. We don't understand what we bring to the table. So we're showing up a big, fat Tiffany diamond that has perfect cut and clarity, and we're doubting ourselves because we don't understand our value. And then when somebody walks by, just think if every diamond in the case at Tiffany's got sad when somebody walked by and didn't buy it. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe they don't see the value. Maybe they just aren't a diamond person. You know what I mean? You need the person that's like, whoa, this is amazing. This I can't live without. And when you meet a person that fits all of those things, their job, they're going to have flaws, and every diamond has flaws too, right? Well, some of them they say are flawless, but they really aren't completely flawless. And so we overlook those flaws because we see the value of the whole package. And so but girls, what we do, it's like the diamond screaming from the case, but look at me. And the person's like going by, don't try to stop that person that's already moving past the diamond. Like, that person does not, they do not deserve to own this diamond. This person doesn't deserve to be in your company, to experience you. You have all these things you give, all this love, all this beautiful energy. Wait, why waste it on somebody that's like, I don't really know what I want. Like, screw that guy. You know what I mean? Like, I used to give that guy so much time and so much energy and worry and, obsession. It's like, hey, you either get it or you don't. You either see the value or you don't. And if you don't, peace out. That was my friend Justin in 8th grade. He would just die if he knew I was still saying peace and hair grease. But it just stayed with me forever. Peace and hair grease to you. Like, I don't care. It's just, once you know your value, you have less and less tolerance for somebody who doesn't see it. And it's not even like, oh, you don't see my value, you're worthless to me. But it's like, if what I offer doesn't click with you, I'm not going to spend my time trying to make it click. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with that person either. It just means that what I have to offer doesn't resonate with them. And that's okay, because we're only looking for one person. But we have to stop overselling to the person that it isn't clicking with, because it's the wrong timing. They don't see it. It's not they've gone to the mall and gone through the mall and it's just not. Have you ever gone shopping and you couldn't find anything? And you're like, what is my problem? Nothing I see, I want to buy. Have you ever felt like that? Does that mean there's something wrong with the things in the store? No, it's just not the right time. And so we cannot constantly look at ourselves and then reevaluate our value just because the shoppers in the store or the mall or whatever analogy I've used today, just because the shopper isn't quite, connected to you, you have to be willing to go, okay, this is not meant to be. We cannot force it. Okay. We have to let these things organically happen. We have to let people do what they do. But we also can't give them so much time and freedom that we sacrifice ourselves too. So there is a point where we have to make those decisions for ourselves too. Like, okay, you're here, but you kind of seem lukewarm. And so, you're going to make decisions where you move on from people, even if they're still, some people are there, but they're not fully committed. And so then you make those decisions as you see fit. And that's a whole nother podcast. But I wanted to just talk to the girls that have been reaching out to me recently that stop and question, and what happened, and what did I do wrong, and why isn't he seeing who I am? It doesn't matter why he doesn't see it. He just doesn't. Leave it at that. He doesn't see it. So if he doesn't see it, he's not the one. And it is a pain. It's a temporary pain, right? Because you wanted it to be, you saw potential, it was fun and exciting. And this is why I tell you, just have fun while it's fun, because when it stopped, my sister told me this years ago. It was like, I should have just gone with this advice, because I said, when do you stop dating him? She goes, when it stops being fun. And so I thought, I always have come back to that many times. When it's not fun anymore and you don't enjoy them anymore, that's when it might be starting to come to an end. But you'll also understand that when you're in a longer term relationship, not every day is fun. So don't think, oh my God, today wasn't fun, maybe it's over. It's like, sometimes you're in a bad mood, you're having your period, you're PMSing, your work day went bad, your boss said something irritating, you lost a deal, whatever. You're going to have all these emotions, and sometimes you're going to put that onto your significant other, and then the next day you're all lovey-dovey again. And so you've got to give yourself time to walk it out in some of these cases, because this is a long-term thing. And the person that's your long-term significant other, it's, you both you'll be able to weather things together, and you'll get through tough times, and you'll have challenges. And so you'll start to learn the difference between it's not fun and, oh, this is a challenge we weather. This is a time we have to just get through, but we love each other enough. We're committed to each other, and we're not going to leave each other because there's a challenge or we don't feel like it at the time. A lot of people leave because they don't feel that intense emotion all the time. That is a lot of times why people ghost. They're like, oh, I don't feel it right now. Well, you're not going to feel in love at the same intensity the whole time. Those feelings are going to ebb and flow. And sometimes they're really intense and sometimes they're not. But to me, there's always a foundational core love that is very steady, strong, and solid. And so it's kind of like, sometimes that intensity will wash over you in different moments or different days or periods of time where you have, that euphoric feeling. But I feel like real love, there's waves of euphoria, but that core love, and I'm having a hard time explaining this, but it's just like I have my hands on like a ball because I feel like there's a core that's there no matter what. And so there's fun and there's things that are good and they're bad that ride up and down, but the core is always there, if that makes sense. So I won't go on and on because clearly I can't think of a better way to explain it. But I hope that helps you to evaluate your value, see yourself differently, think about if you were to leave this earth, who would notice? A lot. And I'm telling you, you don't even know who's noticing you. Because I guarantee you my friend Conce, she would have been like, oh my God, I can't even believe how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people went to her funeral, commented on her Facebook, talked about memories. You don't even realize how much you've exchanged with people that you've forgotten about, but other people haven't. So even if you're like, I don't even feel like anybody cares, they do. I almost wish we could die and see our funerals to know how much people cared, and then we could just come back. Wouldn't that be great? That'd be great if you were at a funeral and you'd be like, but there's a huge chance they'll come back, but you wouldn't know. And then it would be so cool if people could come back. It'd be amazing. So I wish that could happen for people that take their own life and they could come back, they could see the funeral and then they would go, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And then they could feel that love that they didn't realize was there for them. So if you don't have anyone in your life right now, I want you to soak up the love that you have, even if it's from one person, one relative, I don't care who it is. And I want you to really evaluate what you bring to the table, because it's so much. And if a guy on a stupid dating website doesn't connect with you and doesn't see that you are priceless, he's not the one. And look, he's not going to see your value in date 1, date 2, date 3. He's not going to be able to go, oh my gosh, he's going to have to get to know you and learn. But let me tell you, quality people know quality people. They recognize it immediately. This is why I'm able to hire good people. Everybody I've hired has been amazing to do, whether it was prepping meals to being an assistant to editing this podcast. I mean, Dana, shout out to you, the girl who edits my podcast. She had no customers when she started. We had a conversation. She reached out to me. We had a conversation via video chat. I just knew she would be good because she's quality, and I could see the quality in her. I could see her heart. I could see her passion, because I have that same heart and passion. I connected with the passion, and I could just tell she'll do what it takes to learn how to edit podcasts. And now she's gone on, and this is only one thing that she does. So that's what I'm saying. Quality people will know quality people, and they will stick with you and keep learning about you, because they will see immediately when you get traction in something, you're like, oh, I have something to grip onto here. But, when you talk to somebody where it's like, they're just kind of shallow and dry, and, there's not a lot there for you to grab onto. You can't get traction. So when you get traction immediately with somebody, okay, I want to learn more. And you're not going to just quit because, I don't think it's going to work out. People that do that, there's way more to the story. And they have their own issues. And so you have to trust that, oh man, I want you to think of it this way. Oh, it's too bad. They have a lot to offer. They just don't realize it. They're at a different part in their journey. And right now our journeys don't sync up. And it really sucks because I thought they were really cute, whatever, but I got to move on. And you have to have faith that you move on to the right person for you. Okay? So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening. If you can rate this podcast, I would really appreciate it. If you actually write a whole review, I know it's a wear out, but if you just anything, whatever resonated with you, it can just be a few comments. I don't even care, but it really helps the growth of the podcast. If you have questions, reach out to me, melissa@gumballlove.com. If you want to set up a session, I highly recommend it. I feel like my best work is done in one-on-one coaching. It's just always been my favorite thing to do. So if you want to chat, I would love to meet you in person. Make that investment in yourself. Don't be scared of me. I'm not scary. And I don't care how messy it is. I like the mess. The mess helps me. It inspires me because I love to see your transformation. That is the business I'm in, is the business of transformation. So wherever you are, I meet you there, judgment free. And we start where you are and we move forward. So that's all you can do, right? You just start from today and you move forward. So I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.